Hey, we're Koi Fly Creative, and we're obsessed with all things production, marketing, business, and helping you navigate the life of a creative leader. We're here to unveil the more unexpected aspects of leadership. We don't stray away from the real talk. We go through it all with influential leaders from all walks of earth. So, pull up a seat and have your morning coffee with us. This is the Morning Cast. Welcome. We're back. Hello, everyone.
Hello. A big hello.
A big hello, ho, ho, ho.
And welcome to the Morning Cast.
Yes. Let's introduce ourselves. I'm Shelly, and I need some more coffee.
I'm Stacy, and so do I.
I'm Dave, and this is my fourth cup today.
I'm Erin, and this is also my fourth cup.
I'm Leslie, and I'm not sure how many this is, but the pot is empty.
We have a problem. Well, who's up today?
I am. I'm up today.
Yeah. Who'd you interview?
I interviewed my old college roommate and Europe co-traveler, Paula. She is a health hero. She actually is an X-ray tech at a small community hospital in New Jersey. And she talks about having 3 days in a row last week of like 12-hour shifts in the midst of COVID. So she's in the trenches.
Wow.
And what hospital is she at?
She can't say the name of the hospital. There's a couple, rules. She said the media department was going to jump all over her if she mentioned the hospital name, but she could say that it's a community hospital and it's, like a small to medium sized hospital. They seem to have a lot of equipment and PPE, which is good. But I kind of talked to her about how she's feeling, and she's a mom and she's a wife and she comes home, just like we all, actually we don't now, we stay at home all the time, but she comes home, after a 12-hour shift, being in the trenches with all these really, really sick patients. And I kind of wanted to get her feedback on what that's like.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited to listen.
Yeah. What was your favorite part? What should we look out for?
There's a part in there, and I don't want to give it away, but there's a part in there where she talks about hope. And I feel like, to me, it gave me chills. Looking at the light at the end of the tunnel, I think all of us are sort of in this thing where we're like, I can't believe this is still going on. How long is it going to happen? But there is something they do in her hospital that sort of makes everyone feel hopeful. So, cool. And also she talks about what everyone's doing for the healthcare heroes right now, how they're making them feel sort of like superheroes, even children, what the children are doing and how they're supporting these nurses, doctors, X-ray technicians, everyone. But for her, she's right in there with them. She's actually X-raying and touching, because all of these patients have difficulty with their lungs.
And they have to get X-rays in order to help diagnose the disease? Yeah.
She actually talks about how they are now telling the X-ray technicians to go to triage. Which is I don't even know where that is, in the hospital, because generally, if you're sitting there and you're checked into the hospital, you go, wait for someone in the X-ray area, and they come and get you and you go get an X-ray. But now they're bringing their portable X-ray machines to basically the waiting room. So yeah, and they're completely covered head to toe in plastic and, everything.
Wow. It's
scary. It kind of because we're so sheltered now and we're kind of sitting in our houses, hearing her story, where every day she goes in and she's this is going to be another day where I'm going to see 20 patients, most of whom are really, really sick. It's inspiring and scary and surreal.
Wow.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear from her.
Plus, she's really funny.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay. Do you guys want to get started?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
My name is Paula, and I'm an X-ray tech at a hospital in Central Jersey.
Awesome. So what's going on? What is your job? Maybe we'll talk about what's your job first, and then how has it changed?
So I work mostly per diem, which means we get pulled in to help out the full-time and part-timers. So that means usually I work a lot of weekends, nights, whenever they don't work. So I see what happens usually nighttime, weekend. So that usually means we get put into the emergency room. And that's frontline. So now they're coming in that way. Normally it was straight through the emergency room, but now there's steps prior to the emergency room because they don't want to infect like other places where they shouldn't. So
what was like status quo before? Like how did everything work when someone came in, when a patient came in that you needed to work with before versus now? That's cool slant.
Yeah, so there's three, and a lot of hospitals do it this way. There's three different areas of an emergency room that they usually break down. So you start at triage and then they figure out where to put you. So kids will go in their own pediatric ER to stay away from the adults. So they deal with pediatric stuff. And then the breakdown of the regular emergency room is the high intense cases, like the main area. And then there's not so like important cases like, you know, ouch, I think I dislocated my finger type of thing. So you're going to go on like a slower track. But because there's so many people that have, it started out that way. And then they started, as I would go in like once a week and I would see how things would just progress to the normal 3 areas of the emergency room started breaking down into different areas. So they got rid of the peds because there's no kids coming in anymore. Wow. So that becomes like a COVID unit. The main ER is broken up with rooms that have actual doors. And then there was rooms where there was just curtains. So in the beginning, they wouldn't put like the positive people with behind a curtain because you're still infecting, you could be infecting other people. So they would stick them in the room with the door and then they created the negative air. But now it just got so bad that everything is COVID positive. So.
Wow. So like initially, like what kind of, you know, they call it personal protection equipment, right? The PPE. Yeah. So initially, like what kind of PPE would you wear and has that changed?
We've been fortunate that in the very beginning, we were just given a surgical mask and the CDC guidelines were different at that point as far as precautions versus whether it was airborne or droplet. So they said, no, you're fine. You don't need an N95. You just need the surgical mask. And we're like, no, we don't. So we started out with the surgical mask and then they realized things were becoming dire and more difficult and more people were coming in positive. So we've been fortunate that every week I've gone in, I'm given any kind of equipment I want, which is great, which not a lot of people can say. So we were already fitted for N95 masks, so we can get our N95 surgical mask, you know, the plastic covering head to toe. And just this past week, I even got one of those visor things that like on the plastic that goes over your head that you usually see the doctors wear.
Wow.
They gave us a box and goggles. So you just wash them and keep reusing them.
So you said you have to get fitted for an N95 mask?
Yeah, because that's the mask that really protects you because it molds to your face. So back before any of this started, because we always deal with isolation patients, we call it. So they could have been like pneumonia or something, you know, a lung disease or something where if you walk into their room, you are at risk of getting whatever. So we've always had those masks. And if that was the case, they needed to know what size you were. So we would go get fitted as part of like the health screening, the annual health screening. So now I knew, you know, I was a size small. So you go and we're like, can I have a size small N95 mask? So like that's why they don't want the general public using that mask, because if you just grab somebody's and it happens to be a large, it's not going to work. And now you're just wasting a mask that a doctor could be using. So.
Wow. Because I do think a lot of people are just buying the N95 mask thinking that they're going to like just throw it on and they'll be protected. But I haven't heard anybody talk about being fitted for a mask. That's crazy.
No, all hospital workers should get fitted. They get fitted on an annual basis, like along with your flu shot, your TB shot, whatever you need to work in a hospital.
Interesting.
It's all part of it.
Like what happens now, like your job is, and you can tell me what your job is, but it's you're x-raying these patients. So what happens now, like when a patient comes in and they have COVID versus before when you just like took somebody in to get x-rays, like how has that changed?
Right. So now they, I guess, depending on their symptoms, that's how they go by whether there's suspicion or not. And I think to weigh to the cautionary side, they're going to do an x-ray, a chest x-ray. So we walk around, it's all portable. Nobody comes to our unit anymore because you don't want to infect rooms that are needed for healthier people. So we go, and our day now, it's just instead of people coming to us, we have a list of patients that keep coming on our list of ready, and we just go out and do chest x-rays on everybody. And usually you can, and on top of like other, you know, they do blood tests and everything else for these people to determine whether they're truly positive or not. But at this point, we've gotten so good at these x-rays that you take a picture of the lungs and I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I'm like, oh boy, this is definitely a positive one. You could tell like the lungs look like there's cotton balls inside of them.
So you're looking at an x-ray right now of a COVID positive lung.
Right.
What do you see?
I see a lot. There's in a normal lung where it should have like black, which equals air. This is all like, it looks like gauzy white. And what I was saying earlier was on Friday, two of these people walked in off the street in triage saying, I'm sick, something's wrong with me, please test me, whatever they're doing. One was in a wheelchair, she couldn't walk, and she had an oxygen cannula on because she couldn't breathe. The other guy actually managed to walk himself in. And when I took their x-rays, a half hour after walking into the building, that's what they look like. And you're like, holy cow. Like, how are you even walking around?
Because like that's limiting the air coming into their lungs, right? So that stuff.
So they're lacking the oxygen like we have. Like you can inhale and you've got oxygen and you can breathe. They can't.
So what does COVID do to your lungs? Like what is it? It burrows in and the virus like makes
it burrows in and it's what's the word? It's like an inflammation of your lungs. It burrows in there, and we have like what's called an oxygen saturation rate. And a normal healthy person like you and I, if we were put on a monitor, our rate, the monitor would show we have like 90-something% oxygen. These people are down to like 80. So sometimes if they're really bad and I look down at the picture, I'm like, and I don't realize I do that. I didn't say anything. I look at them like, okay, thank you. Your doctor will be in a minute. That's why they have x-rays, one of the first tests they do. And that on top of, they have to confirm it with whatever, either if they're using the swab or the blood test that confirms it 100%.
Wow.
But at least with the x-ray, there will be automatic suspicion because a normal lung does not look like that. So at least, you know, if they come in saying, I've had a fever, I can't breathe, like all the symptoms, and they're like, well, we don't know if you have it or not. And then, you know, the x-ray is one of the first things to show up, and the radiologist sees it, they can say, you know, definitely suspicion of COVID positive. And then they're going to set those people aside and treat them differently than somebody who has pneumonia.
Okay, what did you guys think? What did you think?
I have so many things that I want to talk about. I have 4 major things though.
Okay.
One, the whole part when she was talking about how like it's airborne versus droplet and they're getting these recommendations from everybody. I get that there's like margins of error, but that infuriated me because we had that knowledge. So that bothered me. And so that was one.
Meaning like they didn't know in the beginning and they didn't.
Because there's knowledge about it being airborne or droplet from other countries. So why wasn't that information getting to them? And why were they being direct at, I have a million questions there.
Right.
Then when that x-ray was insane.
Wasn't it? I think it needs to be up there longer.
That freaked me out.
Obviously my editing, you know, for you guys, for your purpose, it'll be better once everyone sees it in the public, but.
It's just crazy to see it, what a normal one looks like. And then to see that's frightening. Just unbelievable. That's unbelievable. And then the fact that she's mentioning that there's no rapid tests, I can't even get started on that. It's not anymore.
That's what we're here for. Let's get started on it.
I also can't imagine just the visual of, because we were recently in the ER with Luke, my son, and just seeing, you know, we had to go to like 6 different rooms in parts of the hospital for him to get x-rayed. I can't even imagine that visual of just seeing an ER in a huge x-ray machine just getting rolled in to the ER. Like that's got to be surreal.
And I have pictures of that too. I'm going to share that
when
we finish the edit because it's a crazy, huge, big machine. I talk about it more in the next half.
Just wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think even like going off of the x-ray machine, like she is one of the first people to know whether or not these patients have it. And I mean, I can't imagine what the mental toll of that would take on her. And like, you know, of course the patient wants to know right then and there, and maybe based off her reaction, like they probably already know, but it's just, that is what stuck out to me, is that like, she is the first person essentially.
She's frontline. She's totally frontline. But she can't say anything because she's not a doctor.
Right.
So I love the part where she's like, and there was more to that I cut out because I was like, I can't put this in there because it's sort of like not good. But when she was like, sometimes I look at the x-ray and I'm like, have you ever like gotten an x-ray and you like look at the tech, like what?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God. Yes.
Like, what is it really? What's happening? Am I okay? Or like ultrasounds, you're like, do they know what the baby's sex is?
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's kind of
They
cool.
have to like keep this amazing poker face.
Yeah.
We should go to Vegas.
The doctor will be right here. The doctor will be right in. They're like, what, am I dying? Am I okay? Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Dave?
I'm intrigued by it. I can't wait to dive back into the second half. I think she's providing a lot of really important and fascinating insights that are not public knowledge, really.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
had no
just-
idea. I had no idea that the lung was that much of a telltale sign. And then they're chest x-raying everyone that comes in with symptoms.
and that it's, I mean, something that they've never seen before. Like, I don't know how long she's been doing this, but that's like insane to me.
It is insane that is how they find out.
Yeah.
Prelim find out instead of a rapid. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm just so glad that there are hospitals that do have the correct PPE equipment, you know,
True.
like that have correct PPE. I mean, like my husband, Steve, he's a neurodiagnostic tech. So he works with EEG, you know, tests all day long. And he works at a hospital in Philly, and they don't even have enough surgical masks to give everyone a new one once a day. Basically, they gave him a surgical mask and a brown paper bag.
Yeah.
And said, when you're not using the surgical mask for the next 2+ weeks, just put it in the brown paper bag.
Yeah, she talks about that. That's the next thing she talks about, actually, is the brown paper bag versus plastic.
And
I thought that plastic or cardboard held on to the virus for longer. So this is another like epiphany that I had while listening to her. There's like a bunch, the next half is a lot, even more interesting than the beginning.
Cool. Let's jump in.
Yeah.
We talk about too, like what kind of person does it take to do this? You know, like what is it about you that makes you do this versus some other people? So, all right.
I'm ready.
Wow.
Cool.
Okay.
Let's jump back in.
Like, do you guys have testing for everybody?
We do, but I heard that it takes a while. We don't have rapid tests yet. It takes a couple days to get back, which that doesn't help a lot of people either.
So if you get to take an x-ray and you see that this is the COVID lung, that's like a
Yeah, it's a red flag for everybody.
yeah.
The doctors will know that that's a red flag. And, you know, just use common sense at that point. If you're running 104 fever, shortness of breath, and this x-ray, most likely you have it. You just have to get the test to prove that you have it. But they at this point, to not continuously infect the rest of the population, they're going on the assumption that you are positive, even though you're not. We haven't tested you yet because you have to.
So do you come in contact with the patients? Or are they sitting on your gurney by the time you walk in? Like who brings the patients to the x-ray?
They don't come to us. We go to them now.
So you go, you get the patient.
Now, and we stay with this portable machine. We stay in the room, and I could do the x-ray in the room because it's a digital machine. So it comes up automatically like a laptop.
So you walk out into the waiting room and you're like, okay, patient John, come back in.
Yeah. So now we're even.
Walk
so
with
now,
you, they walk.
no, we stay there. So it's crazy because not only are we going into these rooms, these emergency rooms that were, you know, that are already like separated, they've taken another step to the point now we're dragging the machine over to triage, where you're just right when you're walking into the hospital, you know, you go to the desk and you're like, here's my name, insurance card, yada, yada. This is what is wrong with me. And, you know, at that point, the nurse is doing your blood pressure, your temperature, and trying to figure out, you know, are you an emergent person, you know, patient or whatever. And we never even, this is the first time they're like, oh, the person's in triage. And I'm like, where is that? I didn't even know where that is. It's almost like out to the parking lot that I'm dragging this machine on wheels. And we just started using one of those exam rooms. We took one of the beds in there, propped it up, and we just wipe it down every single time somebody comes in. We just keep taking the pictures in there now.
So then are they sitting up or are they laying down? Like, how is the patient?
Yeah, they're like in a seated position on the gurney.
And then what do you do with the x-ray equipment? Like, is it like, I'm thinking of like, okay, I don't know a lot about x-ray tech, but like, I'm thinking about the dentist, you know, they come in with like the machine that goes like right here.
Oh yeah. So
this goes like, yeah, tell me.
So we have a board that acts like it's a big laptop, and it's all computerized, and it goes behind your back. And then I have the tube off the machine that I aim at it. And when you hit the button, the radiation hits the back plate, and it automatically will take a picture of your lungs.
So you don't necessarily need to touch the person.
No, I mean, they have to come in wearing a mask. We're covered in head to toe. I mean, I've got gloves on, so I have to touch them if I have to move them up to get the plate behind them. But yeah. And
then you take your gloves off. Like, what's the next thing you do, like in between patients?
Oh, you have to take the gloves off. You put new gloves on. You're wiping everything down, the machine, the gurney, everything that they could have possibly touched, even with their clothes, because it could be on the clothes. So the door handles of the room that they came in, everything. And then we disrobe, you do your body plastic first, and then you use your mask glass. So what we do is we get one N95 mask, and we have a bunch of surgical masks. So we can't keep reusing an N95 because we don't have that many. So we just keep putting on the surgical mask over that N95. And then every time I'm done, I'll take the surgical mask off and put a new one on and do the next person.
And then do you ever what do you do with the N95 mask? Do you
They give us a paper bag, like a lunch bag, and you're supposed to keep it in a lunch bag versus a plastic bag because supposedly it has something to do with bacteria, has a harder time living on paper bag versus a plastic bag. Someone heard, so we started doing that. And now we have a machine that will clean our N95 mask up to 5 times if we want to.
Wow. And so then you put it in the brown bag and stick it into the machine?
Well, if you want to get it cleaned, you have your name and everything on the bag, and you put it by the machine, and then the next morning you pick it up, and it's got, you pick it, the one with your name on it, and it's cleaned from the night people.
Wow. So are you scared? Like, are people scared? Like, what is everyone feeling like in there? Like, what's the overall, is it just get the job done and then get out of there? Or are people nervous? I'm sure it varies, but.
Yeah, you don't want to stay in the room you want to stay there as little as possible because these people are very infected if they in fact are sick. And what makes all of us as workers nervous is how the rules changed since this all started from the beginning in March. They said, okay, no, you only need a surgical mask. Oh no, now you would need the N95 mask. Oh no, now you need this, and this. So it's like, uh-oh, now we're in week 3 and you're telling me I need 5 different personal protective things, but yet in week 1 you said that surgical mask was all I needed. So now you're like, really? Something's not right.
Oh my God. Are you taking your temperature every day? What happens with that?
Yeah, we're supposed to take our temperature every day and report if we have a fever.
What's a fever? 100?
Anything over 98.6, they said.
Wow. So if you have 98.9, what do you do?
They're going to start questioning.
So if you say, okay, I have a 98.9, do they say, okay, you can't come in today? Or they're like, okay, you can come in today, but then tomorrow if you still have, what do they say?
You're supposed to, well, at this point if I don't call and I have a 99, that's on me. Mm-hmm. Shame on me for being irresponsible for going in and possibly infecting more people. But we're supposed to be telling them now. And then it's an automatic self-quarantine of 14 days.
Wow. Is your family scared? Are you, when you come home at night, what do you do?
Yes, my husband sleeps in a different room. My son won't come near me. You have to be careful. I can't see my parents. I can't go in their house. They're older, 80, 82, 83, with underlying conditions. I have to be careful there because if I come home from a shift and I could possibly have it on me, I could be a carrier. Not so much that I look sick, but I could be carrying it and not even know it. That's the scary part, is the unknown.
And then do you take a shower right away? What do you I'm just trying to think if it were me and I was coming home like, or do you get just used to it after a while? Like, is it like, everything's like, I just don't know how, like.
You're definitely more aware of what you're doing with your, like, I'm definitely more aware of what my hands are doing and where they're touching. And we're constantly watching. Like before, you probably weren't so aware, but I definitely have a routine when I get back from a shift, and it was kind of sucky Friday night when I worked, and I came in, got home at 1:30 in the morning, and the last thing you want to do is like shower, do your hair, whatever. But my routine is I have the Clorox wipes, the Lysol in the garage. So I go get the Clorox wipes and wipe everything down that I've touched in my car. Then I spray Lysol on top of everything on my bag that I bring to my job, and I have to disrobe in the garage, never bring my shoes in because you just don't know, and then just run straight to the shower.
So you
from down.
You're naked in the garage.
Yeah, and run up into the shower.
And you go booking into the shower.
At 2 in the morning. That's fun.
At 2 in the morning. Are they is there are they giving you any more money for this? Like, it feels like this is like.
I know. You would think.
Dangerous. Like, what are they doing? Is there any kind of something that.
Unfortunately not. I am not union. I'm not part of a union. Just a per diem. So unfortunately that's where we work. Even before this virus, we were always prone to something in the hospitals. Like whenever we would go up to ICU, intensive care unit, those people are so super sick. And whenever they plaster on the doors if they have an isolation issue, which means that they are infectious. And you have to gown up, suit up. We always had to do this before even this virus. And they would tell you what you need to protect yourself from, and then they'd have all the equipment right outside the door. So we knew that going in, and we understood how to deal with those people. But now it's not just so much going up to the ICU and doing that one person. It's everyone. You're suiting up, unsuiting. It takes like 10 minutes to do an x-ray versus it should have taken 20 seconds. But because we're so cautious and you have to protect yourself and clean up afterwards, it's taking like 10, 15 minutes to do one x-ray.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Are there healthcare workers that have gotten sick?
They were under suspicion. Nobody actually tested positive. There was probably 4 people I know that were out for a 14-day self-quarantine because they had fevers and like maybe cold symptoms. Mm-hmm. So things like that. But they all came back and they're working.
So do you think that there are people that don't want to do this, like that are like not coming in because they're scared? Like what keeps you going back in? Like what makes you want to do this? Like I know you, Paula, and I know you're like a tough.
I don't know of anybody in my department that has not come back in. Not that I know of, but for me personally, it's what I signed up for. So I knew that going in, and anything medical like this, whether it's a pandemic or not, you're bound to see things and you're in there. So I guess it takes a certain person.
What do you think it is about you that makes you like, what is that person? Like what?
I just want to help. Like of wanting to, if I'm able and capable of helping someone, why not? Versus just sitting doing nothing. Like I want to do something. And if I hold a license and I'm capable of doing this and I'm healthy, why not use me as another set of hands? So it's just, I don't know.
That's moving. It really is. Like it makes me
selfish.
It makes me very emotional because I feel like there's just, like the people that are doing this, obviously you're not getting paid any more money. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you're putting yourself in harm's way or your family in harm's way. And it's special. So I do hope that you guys continue to I feel like people understand kind of or trying to understand what you're going through in a way, mm-hmm. And trying to like help you in some way. And like, what do you think would be a way that we could help healthcare workers, like as normal humans? Like, what could we do?
The main thing, and I hate to be redundant, but like the local government said, is to stay home and social distancing, because that prevents you from coming into the hospital in the first place. So if everybody did that, there wouldn't be so many people that they'd be taken care of. The other side of it, like let's say everyone is practicing that, is you see so much grassroots movement coming out of this and community getting together and helping, that it is really touching. It's amazing, like what they've done for us at the hospital. Like the local restaurants will bring in food. It's just very touching. The sidewalk that the workers take to walk into the entranceway, the kids like wrote like messages in chalk. It's just very uplifting. And the past week, the Thursday and Friday that I worked, so we have hospitals have intercom systems. So it was so depressing because all you hear is like codes getting called. So it's like someone else crashing, someone dying, this, that. And you got the code team like racing to try to save their lives. And then all of a sudden Thursday, they started playing the Beatles song, Here Comes the Sun. And I was like, did they not realize that the speaker's on? Because we can hear this. And I didn't know what it was at first, but they started playing that every time a COVID positive patient is discharged out of the hospital.
Oh my God.
And you're just like, you stop what you're doing because you can hear it. And like on Friday, my shift started from 4:00 to like 12:30. I heard it 6 times. I'm like, oh my God, there goes another one. Another one went home. Another one. You're like, yes, it's working.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's very uplifting, and it's a morale booster for sure. Because especially these poor nurses who are working their butts off, and they're like really the ones that are there taking care of these same people like hours and hours and hours. And to hear that and to watch somebody leave it's got to be so gratifying.
That's super positive. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So as far as you're concerned, like there's nothing like physical we can give you. Restaurants are giving you guys food and you're getting like cool letters of like, support, which is awesome.
People have sewn masks and brought them in, things like that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But you guys are good with like ventilators and all that kind of stuff. Like, what is the hospital situation in terms of like equipment?
Our hospital is generally speaking, a smaller hospital, and we are not a trauma hospital. There is a trauma hospital down the street, and I guess they have more ICU beds than we do. I have not heard yet that we're lacking, but every room is at capacity up there in ICU, and every room has a ventilator. So.
Do you feel like you guys have hit the peak now, or is it still coming?
I think it's this week. It seems to me like it's this week that we've hit it, like that Easter weekend. And then I guess the more I work there and the more I hear that Beatles song is going to determine in my head, you think like, well, now we're sliding down the hill.
Yeah.
Because the more that song gets played, there's more and more people leaving the hospital, and that's what you want to see.
She's just incredible. It's like what she does every day. That's it. It's her job, and
the selflessness of it is incredible.
Yeah. When she said like, if I'm healthy and I'm capable, like why not use me was inspiring. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, who thinks like that? Like you're going into the, mouth of the beast, but that's how these people think. They're like, I'm sure Steve's the same way. Like I'm healthy. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to do what I need to do. And what else is there?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Amazing. Obviously the Here Comes the Sun part was,
I know,
awesome.
Can you just imagine like, oh,
that part.
Oh, sorry, Shel.
No, I was just going to say that part almost made me cry. It's just like, simply because like, it's so hard to see the other side of things, especially her, because Paula, she is the person who helps diagnose. She's not the person who helps cure. So all she's seeing is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people coming in her door, potentially with this disease that can kill them and kill her and kill everyone around them. But she never saw like the other side of people actually leaving. She only heard the coding alarms, right? So I think that was so crazy for the hospital to do, to have that Here Comes the Sun.
I would think too, as a patient, and you hear that would be motivating. That would give you some kind of you know what I mean?
It's hope. It's hope. It's like, how do you like, quantify hope right now. Like, how do you, where is the hope? Like, none of us really know how this is going to end. And some brilliant person in her hospital is like, let's play a song, when everybody leaves. Like, brilliant.
Yeah, and I think for the rest of their lives, that song's gonna affect them in this way. Like, it's not just like a in this moment kind of thing. I think forever, when they hear that, they're gonna be put right back into that moment.
The other part for me that was real resonating was not only is she sacrificing how she sacrifices at her job every day, but the home piece of it. Like, not getting to be around her husband or, and her kids, and that's awful.
It's like social distancing, but also social distancing in your home with your family, and you're social distancing from them as well.
Yeah.
Like, talk about isolation. So you're in like frontline, possibly could get sick or die, and you can't even get any of the benefits of the social distancing, which people are getting, which is like getting to be around the family who's at home. So it's just crazy. But there's no like sadness or regret or anything. It's insane.
Yeah.
Just here to help.
Very good. It was so good. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Go Paula. Go healthcare workers.
Yeah.
It made me feel like what we're doing is good. Like, to get this word out, what we're doing, I think it's a really good thing. So
yeah, definitely. She also had a really good point. She talked about the restaurants dropping off like extra food and stuff. And it was really interesting to hear, like, an industry that's been hit really hard is still going above and beyond to, like, provide things for the healthcare workers, which was really inspiring.
People are incredible.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stacey, for
Thanks.
sharing
That was so great. Thanks, Paula.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to today's morning cast. We loved having our morning coffee with you. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud, and turn that notification button on to make sure you don't miss any episodes. Until then, keep hustling and pour yourself another cup of joe.